Put your faith in the light.
Hello guys, welcome to another one of my videos. This is Lightblade. And well guys, in this one we're going to go in and test the talents of the Retribution Paladins in the PTR, because we now can do that. And I wanted to wait a bit because yesterday everything was a bit chaotic and not everything was kinda there, you know. There was a lot of talents that were still missing, some things that were repeating itself, so I wanted to wait a bit to just put out this video out there, you know, and show you guys a bit more complete version on how Retribution Paladin is working in the PTR currently. I'm going to also showcase a small build that I made. I call it the Holy Strike build, and I kind of meshed a lot of things that just made sense together and they felt good together. So by any means, this is not a guide, so a lot of things can change in a whim, so do not take this as a guide. It's just a fun thing I made messing around here in the PTR, trying to combine the things that made sense. With that said, now let's go to the talents. Okay guys, let's talk about the talents. So I'm going to do a quick overview of all the talents. I'm going to explain each and all of them. I'm gonna go really fast though, and I'm going to explain to you guys what this build that I'm testing here in the PTR is. I call this the Holy Strike build. It's a really powerful build, and the core of it is that we're transforming most of all our abilities into Holy Strike damage, which is a mix between magic, holy damage, and physical damage. So it gets the benefit of both any physical damage amps and any magical damage amps, which is really powerful. And also it ignores armor. By the way, any ability that is Holy Strike, it will deal its damage as if it were magical instead of physical, and will ignore armor, which makes this build extremely strong. Things like Blade of Justice, Crusader Strike, those kind of things will now do full damage to everything, so really great. Another thing of this build is that we are able to take the 3 capstones at the end on the General Paladin tree. Okay, let's start with the General Paladin tree here then. Okay, very quickly, we're going to take Lay on the Hands on the first row. The other things are already taken for us. Lay on the Hands is just a flexible heal, even on a 7-minute cooldown. After that, we're not taking anything here. You can actually take some of these things eventually, you know. Abdurance is really good for the avoidance on higher level keys because of the extra damage reduction. Turntable, actually, you're never going to take. It's too niche to actually be used. Even in Court of Stars, in Shadow Moon Burial Grounds, it's kind of whatever, you know. It's not even worth the cast, I think. Maybe in the first boss of Shadow Moon Burial Grounds, but even then it's a stretch. After that, this auras, you can actually take a point in Devotion aura if you ignore Horse. And if you're good at toggling your auras and changing between Devotion and Retribution, now that Retribution is actually good, it's technically a 2% damage increase if you can proc this like all the time, and you will, because people take damage, you know. So if you can toggle your auras between Devotion and Retribution when you need the Devotion, it's a good point to take, because you're mitigating a lot of damage your group is going to take. After that, you got Cleanse Toxin. This is dependent on the dungeon you're going to do. If you know there's a poison or a disease that's going to hit you, take it, because it's going to save your life or whoever is in your group. After that, next row we go to Greater Judgment. You always take this. This is the debuff of your judgment. What are you doing if you don't take this? Okay, let's go to the next one. Divine Steed. You always take Horse. Horse is nice. Horse is, even though people hate Horse, Horse will save your life, you know, so take Horse. After that, we got Blinding Light. You always take Blinding Light. 99% of the time, Blinding Light. I don't think there's a situation where you're not taking Blinding Light. Repentance is a good CC, but there's always better CC, like Demon Hunter Cage, Sap. Those are true CC that don't aggro the mobs. If you repent on something and you go near it, you'll aggro it. It's not that good. Blinding Light, on the other hand, will always save your group because it's going to stop AoE casts of mobs. You know, you can throw it down, everyone stop casting, you're happy. Blinding Light is really good. Next row. Fist of Justice. Take 2 points in this. It's just really good to have your stun up as often as possible. There's too many nasty casters that Blizzard put in the dungeons. Having stun up is a godsend, so always take 2 points in this. Really good. Cavalier has 2 charges. Take 2 charges on Horse. It's just extremely good quality of life to have 2 charges on Horse. 1 charge is bad, 2 charges is really good. Now this point is whatever. You can either use the extra 2 seconds on Horse if you actually need it, or you can put it on somewhere else. Like I said, you could put it on Devotion Aura. If you need Cleanse Toxins, you can put it there, you know. This point is flexible. I'm gonna just leave it at a Horse for now. 6-second Horse, really powerful. Okay, next one, Rebuke. Take your kick. Always take kick. If you do not take kick, I'm gonna be sad because someone's gonna die because you didn't kick something, or yourself you're gonna die if you kick something. So always take kick. Next row, we have the new punishment thing. This one is when you interrupt something, you cast a Crusader Strike on it. With this build, we actually do not have Crusader Strike because we're Transformer. Crusader Strike into auto attacks, so this is kind of worthless for us now. But in a world where we do have a Crusader strike we can cast, this is pretty good. So anyways, for now we're ignoring it. After that, Justification. Judgment's damage is increased by 10%. Take it. We're gonna transform Judgment into Holy Strike damage and improve its damage by a lot. So Justification, pretty good point to take. After that, Avenging Wrath. So what are you doing? You have to take wings. This is just a non-negotiable point. You take wings. Okay, after that, let's take Holy Aegis. 4% critical strike, just really good to take. Extra 4% armor doesn't really matter. The crit is really good. After that, next row, we got Lightforged Blessing. This thing is this is huge in Mythic Plus dungeons. This heals for 4 people and yourself. So in a Mythic Plus dungeon, you're healing the whole group for 5% of your maximum health every Divine Storm you throw. In a normal pool, you're going to throw between 10 to 20 to even more Divine Storms, an average of 20 Divine Storms in a pool. So you're basically giving your whole group a full HP bar of health by just doing your DPS rotation. That's just crazy. So take the point in Lightforged Blessing. It's gonna be great. Next one, Blessing of Protection. So take a point in Blessing of Protection. It's just a lifesaver, man. It's just another, it's like an extra insurance policy, you know? If your tank dies for whatever reason, you can pop yourself, rest the tank, and you still have your bubble for other stuff. Take the Blessing of Protection. There's people that don't take it. I don't know what's wrong with them. Anyways, let's go to the next one. Sanctified Plates. Okay, so this one is the big thing. This is the big buff that Blizz gave us with this 10.0.7 PTR. I hope it stays like this. It's really strong as it is. I'm thinking they're gonna nerf it a bit. The armor is not important, at least for PvE, because 20% extra armor, whatever. Maybe in PvP it's important. Stamina increased by 10%. That's huge. That's like having 2 extra priests in your group as health and as the buff, you know. And the damage taken from area effect attacks reduced by 10%. So that's free 10% extra avoidance, but you can still stack more avoidance on top of this avoidance. You can have a total of, if you are lucky and you have like 20% of tertiary stat avoidance, you stack it with this, you have 30% damage reduction from area of attack effects. You're a tank at that point. You're just so sturdy. So I'm thinking they're gonna nerf this, but if they don't, always take a point in this when this goes live. Okay, next one, Blessing of Sacrifice. Take Blessing of Sacrifice. It's a good value point. We are now a bit more tanky, so we can afford to like save other people with Blessing of Sacrifice. Before, you throw this on someone and you were at risk of dying yourself, but now we're kind of sturdy, so it's a good point to put. Normally you want to put it on your tank if he calls for it, and if you like see him struggling, put it on him. You're gonna save his life, or someone that's like dying, you know. Next one, we don't take Golden Plat, it's garbage, ignore it. Same of Seal of Mercy, it goes with Golden Plat, both garbage. After Image, garbage. It's really bad, it depends on, it throws Word of Glory at 30% effectiveness. We do not cast Word of Glory, we have better heal now, so ignore After Image, kind of garbage talent. Next one, Sacrifice of the Just. Okay, reduce the cooldown of Blessing of Sacrifice to 60 seconds. I'm always going to take that because I really like the flexible Blessing of Sacrifice at 1 minute. You know, just throw it around on someone and save their life. If you're greedy and you want to get every single ounce of DPS, you can take Recompense. Actually, Recompense is actually pretty good now because our Judgment is better. So increasing the damage of that Judgment is going to be a lot stronger with Recompense, but you lose that flexibility of 1 minute Sacrifice. So I would just recommend when this goes live, just take Sacrifice of the Just. Next one, we have Unbreakable Spirit. Always take this. It's just a good value point. 3.5 minute cooldown Divine Shield. Really strong. You can use it even to damage now. You know, you just bubble and do damage. You have other defenses to use, and this is just flexible point. You also reduce the cooldown of Shield of Vengeance, make it a 1 minute cooldown shield. Lay on hands and stuff, you know, pretty good value point. Take it. Next one, Improved Blessing of Protection. I like Blessing of Protection. I do not like Improved Blessing of Protection. The 60 seconds do nothing, you know, it's fine as it is. It's a 5 minute cooldown. Ignore this. Next one, Crusader's Reprieve. Crusader Strike and auto attack range is increased by 3 yards. Whenever you are using Crusader Strike, you heal 2% of your maximum health. With this build, we're going to transform our auto attacks into Crusader Strikes. I mean, our Crusader Strikes into our auto attacks. So this means every auto attack we do, we heal 2% of our health. Really, really powerful. Whenever you're doing your normal DPS rotation, especially in AoE, you're just going to be pumping heals without even you knowing. So take this point, it's really strong. Next row, Strength and Convictions, we're not taking it ever. It depends on Consecration. It buffs the damage of Shield of Righteous, which we never use. Word of Glory also has a 10% increase effectiveness on it. We're not casting Word of Glory with this new Red Pally, the PTR, because there's better heal, so ignore this. Judgment on Light, they buffed it, still garbage. Even with AoE judgment, I think this is not worth taking. The heal is still too low. We have better things. We have percentage healing, so 2k heal, that's not good. Next one, Seal of Might. Take 2 points in this. Mastery and strength increased by 4%. Really powerful. They buffed the previous Seal of Might that only worked when we had wings. I think this one is the better one of the 2 buff ones that we have. The other one is Seal of Alacrity. I'll talk about that in a second. So now we had Take Divine Purpose. Divine Purpose is just so good. The rotation feels so smooth, just having 3 Divine Storms sometimes, you know, and they are even empowered a bit, 15% extra damage. Always take Divine Purpose. Next time, this one. So Seal of Alacrity. Haste increased by 2% per point, so 4% total, and 1 second of judgment reduced cooldown. So this would be extremely powerful, and you should take it all the time. If we could take it and also take this final point in Divine Resonance here. Since we can't take that Divine Resonance point without taking this, I'm just going to ignore Seal of Alacrity for now. And I'm going to take a really garbage talent here for the purpose of this build. This might change, by the way. There maybe someone else makes a build that actually includes Seal of Alacrity and ignores maybe Divine Resonance. But for this, I want to take Divine Resonance as my last point here. So we take the 3 capstone talents. We're going to take Touch of Light. Okay, I know, this is garbage light. Why are you taking this? It's because at least it does some damage, while, for example, Incandescence does 0 damage. Because we're never going to throw a Consecration ever again, because the thing does so little now that it's not worth it. So I'd rather take the Touch of Light, so it at least does some damage. Even though it's just single target damage, it's doing something. And now actually we heal people with our percentage damage healing from Light Force Blessing, and we heal ourselves with Crusader's Reprieve, that we can actually benefit from the heal from Touch of Light, at least a bit, you know. So even though it's garbage, it's better than nothing. Okay, let's go to the next row. Of Dusk and Dawn, they buffed this, they reworked it. Now it flows so naturally, you don't even have to think about it. You don't even have to track it. You just use Holy Power of spending abilities, and you will gain Blessing of Dawn. You consume that Blessing of Dawn, and you get Blessing of Dusk. As easy as that. You don't have to track it, you do nothing. And it is a bit new, so instead of giving you a passive buff, it now will increase the damage of your next Holy Spender by 30%. You don't have to think about it, you just throw spenders, this thing will do the damage. After that, Blessing of Dusk, damage taken reduced by 5%, and your Holy Power abilities generate also grant a shield that absorbs a bit of the damage they deal. So that's Blessing of Dusk. After that, we are going to take Divine Toll. Divine Toll is always good, especially with now with AoE judgments. You're throwing like 20 hammers every Divine Toll. It's crazy if there's a lot of mobs. This thing is really good. 1 minute cooldown. I'm glad they kept this because they were removing a lot of our cooldowns. So Divine Toll is good that is there. Next one, Seal of Crusader. So this one we're taking just so we can get to Seal of Paragon. So this is really good. Auto attacks deal additional holy damage, and we auto attack a lot, and our auto attacks are also now Crusader Strike, so we're empowering that as well, so it's pretty good. Next one, we have Zeal of Order or Fading Light. We're gonna take Zeal of Order here. This is the most offensive of the 2 options. The defensive one is Fading Light. So Seal of Order does the same. They both do the same thing on the offensive part. They give an extra 10% damage to your Holy Spender ability, a Blessing of Dawn. The Blessing of Dusk changes. So the Blessing of the offensive one gives you armor, and your Holy Power spending ability, Holy Power generating abilities cool down faster, 10% faster. So this one actually gives you DPS, while the other one, the Fading Light, doesn't. Fading Light instead makes your Holy Power building abilities, generators, give you a shield of 20% of the damage they deal. Actually, this shield is huge, by the way, because our generators hit like a truck now. You know, they're not like before, like Blade of Justice was like 10% of your damage. No, Blade of Justice is now like 20% of your damage, something crazy like that. It's really strong. So if you're in a situation where you're taking too much damage, you could actually go for Blessing of Dusk. It's going to cost you some DPS because this one makes your abilities come off cooldown faster, so you throw them more. So it's a give or take, you know. So for now, we're gonna take Seal of Order. After that, we're taking Resonance. It's the better option of the both because you throw 3 free judgments after you throw your Divine Toll. Those 3 free judgments are actually 4 judgments with this build. 5, because it's 1 plus 4. Yeah, that's 5 judgments that you're throwing. That's 5 debuffs that you're throwing every 5 seconds on your targets. In Mythic Plus, which is the purpose of this build, this is going to be really strong, so it's really good. The other option is just a passive cooldown reduction on Divine Toll, which also fine, but I think the Divine Resonance is just better, you know. This is just a throwback to the Mechanicals where we had a low cooldown Divine Toll, but Divine Resonance is better here. Let's go to the next one, Zealot's Paragon. So this one is just to extend our wings. It's really good. It works really well with this because we get our cooldown of our abilities, our judgment, so fast, and just with Hammer of Wrath and Judgment spamming, you get like really long wings, especially since we're using Crusade. Those wings gives us a bunch of haste, like 30% increased haste, so we have more room to throw abilities and extend the wings even farther, you know, and comes with an extra 10% damage to Hammer of Wrath and Judgment, so it's a really powerful option. Now let's go to the Retribution Paladin tree. Okay guys, so we are at the Retribution 1. First one, you take Blade of Justice, no questions asked there. The Divine Storm, then we got options here. So we're going to go here, improve Blade of Justice or Crusader Strike. We take Justice. This build is focused on making Blade of Justice and partially Judgment. Both are good abilities. Blade of Justice has 2 charges now. This is good. Crusader Strike 1 is worthless because we're making Crusader Strike our auto attack, so we're never taking this. After that's Holy Blade, more Holy Power generation from Blade of Justice. Nice. And after that, we're gonna take Lights of Justice. This reduces the cooldown of Blade of Justice by 2 seconds. We could go either way. Reduce the cooldown of Judgment by 2 seconds and Crusader Strike by 2 seconds, but we're losing value on this one because of the Crusader Strike, since now that as an auto attack, we're only getting half value from this talent. So we're going to go with the Lights Justice one. After that, here we're gonna take Final Verdict. You could make a case for just the Curse Vengeance because this thing is Holy Strike damage. Holy Strike damage is the thing we're gonna buff on this build. The problem is there is a lot of support for Final Verdict. So we have other talents that buff it, like this Jurisdiction gives it 10% extra damage, and that extra 10% damage makes it a bit better than just the Curse Vengeance in terms of raw damage gain. Also, Final Verdict becomes a 20-yard ability, which is crazy because we can hit targets from so far away if there is something like impeding us to attack. So it's just a bit better than just the Curse Vengeance in that sense. Although there's a case to be made that if the key, for example, if you're doing a really high key and this goes live like this, you could take just the Curse Vengeance just to survive the damage taken while still doing damage yourself, you know? So that stuff can be interchangeable. Next one, let's go to Light Celerity or Guided Prayer. So these are our healing options. I prefer Light Celerity, having Flash of Light as an instant that has a 6-second cooldown that does a juicy heal. It's really nice. Since now we have so many other sources of healing, this is just mostly just to top yourself off, you know. The other option is kind of a cheat death. At 20% health, you will proc a free Word of Glory at 100% effectiveness. This is good, you know, but the heal can be wasted. 25% health is not dying, you know. It's not a cheat death per se. You're going to waste the heal most of the times because if you're at 20% health, you can still press like the button, you know, Light Celerity, you're still gonna heal and the heal isn't wasted, but this thing can sometimes waste it, you know. Better to take just Light Celerity. After that, got Healing Hands or Unbound Freedom. So we can't take this for now because, well, we need the points to put on damage. If I were to pick something from this, I would pick Unbound Freedom. You don't really need Healing Hands anymore with so much healing and tankiness that we have from our normal Paladin tree. We normally took Healing Hands because we got hit so hard that we had to recover really fast or we died. Now that doesn't happen, so Unbound Freedom would be the best of the two. Just gives you 30% movement speed whenever you throw your Blessing of Freedom on yourself. And you can throw it even if you're not snared, just to move around faster, so it's pretty good. If I were to take it, but for now we're not. Okay, so Art of War. Art of War or what's the other one? Righteous Cause. So Righteous Cause is the single target version of this ability. Both reset your Blade of Justice. This one only resets your Blade of Justice when you use Temporary Verdict, Final Verdict, or just a Curse Vengeance. While this other one resets your abilities when, your Blade of Justice when you Crusader Strike or Auto Attack. Since this build is converting every auto attack into Crusader Strike, naturally this will happen, and this one is the best for Mythic Plus dungeons. The other one can be made a case for single target fights and raids and whatever, you know, because you're going to Templar's Verdict more there than auto attacks. Well, you're still gonna auto attack, but you're going to Templar's Verdict a lot more. So we're gonna take Art of War for that. Okay, next row. Here, her Jurisdiction. So Final Verdict, this is the ability that I was talking about that buffs Final Verdict and makes it a bit better than just the Curse Vengeance. That extra 10% damage. And also buffs Blade of Justice. This is the ability that we're going to supercharge to make this build work. After I explain all the talents, I'm going to show you guys how this build kind of works in the PTR, you know, and you're gonna see. Okay, so we're taking this. This makes our final blade 20-yard range, and Blade of Justice also 20-yard range. Judgment already is like 30 yards. Hammer of Wrath is already 30 yards. We basically are a mid-range melee class, so this makes it really good. So we can attack from places other melee characters can't. They're probably gonna nerf this and make it 10 yards because at the moment it's just really, really powerful. So anyways, let's go to the next one. Okay, Adjustments of Justice, we're not going to take this. Although it sounds really good, you know, the 10% passive movement speed in combat is really good. It also buffs our judgment by 10%, but there's other better options to take. So, the slow is kind of worthless in PvE, by the way. Mobs move at 120% movement, so 30% slow is like 10% on them, so it's kind of worthless. Next one, Imperial Power. You always take this. Crusader Strike has a 15% chance to make your Divine Storm free and deal 25% additional damage. You're always going to be Crusader Striking because that's our new auto attack, so this naturally happens. It's just good. You get free Divine Storms. Next one, Shield of Vengeance. We take this because we have to, and also it's a good ability. The shield is huge. It's a 1-minute cooldown. Now we have 2 defensives because we have this and Divine Protection baseline, so we are very tanky and we have a lot of options now. Next one, we have Expurgation. This got incredibly buffed. It got the restriction of critical strike hit removed, so now it happens regardless. It does a lot of damage. It's a ton of damage because we're converting the Expurgation damage into Holy Strike damage as well, so it's going to get benefited from Mastery and from physical amp effects. The next one, Zealot's Fervor. Since we're taking Art of War, it's a no-brainer. Attacking faster is better, so we're just gonna take it. Consecrated Ground, you're never gonna take this. No, Consecration will never occur again. That thing is dead, literally dead. Consecration will never be pressed again, ever. So we're ignoring this. It was good to have the 50% slow on big Consecration, but now it's worthless, so just leave it there. Here we are taking between Improved Judgment and Boundless Judgment. So for this build, we're taking Improved Judgment. It has 2 charges, really good because Judgment now hits 5 things. So hitting 5 things 2 times with a really powerful Judgment that we're going to make Holy Strike damage is going to be really good. The extra Holy Power and Judgment generation is not needed. We currently have a surplus of Holy Power generation. You really do not need the extra Holy Power here. After that, Tempest of the Lightbringer is just a good point. You know, it deals around 6 to 7% of your damage overall in a Mythic Plus dungeon. It's just good. It also does uncapped damage, which is nice. Teachings of the Light, versatility increased 2%, judgment cooldown reduced. Is good, sounds good, but it's not as good as other stuff that we can take. Inquisitor's Ire. This thing is good in single target, bad in AoE. You might think, why is it bad in AoE? Because it does Divine Storm buffs. This is because most of the time in a key, you're never going to be, in combat at least, you're never going to stop to not casting Divine Storms. You know, you're always going to be doing Holy Power build, Divine Storm, Holy Power build, Divine Storm. Very rarely you're going to stop to do that. You know, in single target, you are actually going to be casting like Templar's Verdict, build Holy Power and stuff, you know. So in that time you can build 10 stack of this, and then when you get the 10 stack, you can throw a huge Divine Storm to your single target, you know. Or maybe there's ads and you can cleave them in those types of fights. But in Mythic Plus, this is going to lose a lot of value, so ignore it for now. So for this build, we don't take it. This one, Blade of Vengeance or Imperial Legacy. So Blade of Vengeance is the core, the butter, the bread, everything of this build. This makes Blade of Justice do AoE damage like Divine Storm. As long as things are clumped together, your Blade of Justice will hit them all. It's uncapped AoE, but it deals reduced damage beyond 5 targets. We're going to convert a Blade of Justice damage into Holy Strike damage. So it's going to do full damage to whatever we hit with this. You know, so this is the creme de la creme of the build. You're going to always take this. The other option might be better in single targets. I do not know if it will. Judgment empowers your next Templar's Verdict to automatically do Divine Storm with 25% effectiveness. It can only cure every 30 seconds. So it's the old Imperial Legacy. It was good, you know, but it probably will see some play maybe in single target, like I said, because you can like throw 2 Spenders instead of 1 for a Templar's Verdict. But it's pretty meh ability. In Mythic Plus, you're never gonna take it. You're always going for Blade of Vengeance. Let's go to the next one. Okay, Crusading Strikes. This is also another one of the core parts of this build. You know, this generates so much Holy Power because you auto attack, you generate 1 Holy Power, you get more haste, you attack faster, you get Crusade, you attack even faster. This is just really good. You generate so much Holy. They're probably going to nerf or do something with this probably before launch, because as it is, it's really strong. The other option is worthless in comparison. Blessed Hammers does less damage, It comes with DR, damage reduction on yourself, on whatever, by a flat amount. It's almost 3k, which is not very good, you know. Generates some holy power and makes a bit AoE circle around you with a little hammer, you know. It's worthless compared to Crusading Strike. So unless they nerf Crusading Strike really badly, you're never gonna take Blessed Hammers. After that, we have Hurt of the Crusader. So Crusader Strike and auto attacks deal 10% increased damage and have 10% increased critical strike. This would be good if there weren't other stuff that is better. But if they nerf other stuff, maybe we take this talent. Blessed Champion. So Crusader Strike hits an additional 2 targets for 85% of their damage. This also could be a really good option to take, you know. But there's better stuff. We're overcharging 2 abilities already. We're making Judgment really good, and we're also making Blade of Justice really good. We can't make Crusader Strike as good as those 2. So we gotta pick, you know. So we're overcharging those other 2 abilities. We're gonna ignore this for now. But if they nerf the other talents before launch, maybe this gets played, you know. Next one, Crusade. We always take Crusade. Crusade is the best one of the 2 for PvE content. Avenger's Might got nerfed. It was a 1-minute cooldown yesterday. It's a 2-minute cooldown today. So that's how fast things can change, guys. This build might be garbage tomorrow. Who knows? So for now, Crusade is just the best way to go. It just gives you so much attacks haste that makes your attack speed faster. You generate more holy power, and it's just crazy, you know. Might, like I said, could be used for PvPers because they don't have the time to like get the 10 stack Crusade before they get like killed or something in PvP. So that's how it goes. Next one, Commanding Judgment. Judgment hits an additional 4 targets, so 5 targets for 85% of its damage. This is what makes Judgment supercharged. Each of those targets are also debuffed, by the way, by the Judgment. So the Judgment debuff that increases damage they take by our mastery stuff, you know. I mean the damage they take, holy damage they take, this thing, Greater Judgment. So you're debuffing 5 things all the time. We also have 2 charges of Judgment because of improved Judgment. So it's a really powerful talent. Let's go to the next one. Sanctified sadly got super nerfed. Oh, no, not sadly. Actually, I'm really happy this thing got nerfed to the ground. Consecration build is no more, even though this does increase the damage of Divine Hammers that I really like. But sadly, we can't take Divine Hammers. The thing is just not as strong, you know. There's better things to take than Divine Hammers. Maybe in the future, if they nerf other things, we might take Divine Hammers. I really wanted to take this. I asked for this thing so much. Now I'm not gonna take it because it doesn't seem as strong as other stuff. So sad. Oh, the other option here was Consecrated Blade. Blade of Justice has a 40% chance to cast a Consecration. This is a chance. This is not a guaranteed Consecration. So yeah, Consecration build is literally dead. There's nothing good about it anymore. So do not press that button. It's very bad. Unless maybe you don't have anything to press, but how red works at the moment in the PTR, you always have something to press. Let's go to the next row. Adjudication. So critical strike chance increased by 2% of Hammer of Wrath, and has also, a critical strike chance increased by 2% baseline. Hammer of Wrath has an extra 5% chance, and after that it deals 10% increased critical damage. We're also going to convert our Hammer of Wrath into Holy Strike damage, so it's going to do buffed physical and holy damage, so this is really good for it. After that, also we're taking it to open the next row. After that, Aegis of Protection, you're always gonna take this. This is just really strong. It increases the effectiveness of your 2 defensives. Placing a protection, Divine Protection has 10% extra damage reduction, which makes it a 30% damage reduction on a 1.5 minute cooldown. Shield of Vengeance has a 30% more shielding, and also deals 30% more damage, because more shield means it explodes for more damage, which is really powerful. Take this. Also, this opens the next choices. Here we take Swift Retribution, haste increased by 2%, that's always nice. Blade of Justice and Hammer of Wrath, cooldown reduced. Pretty good. Cooldown reduction is always great. Now let's go to the next row. Here we have Vanguard's Momentum. We could actually take Vanguard's Momentum if we had enough points to put there, you know. It synergizes so well with Zealot's Paragon, but there's so many other things that we have to take that we cannot afford to put a point here. This might be used in the future for single target only fights, because it gives us a disgusting execute phase, because Hammer of Wrath gets up to 2 charges if you put 2 points here. So it's 3 Hammer of Wrath you can throw. It does 10% increased damage, and enemies below 20% health generate an additional holy power, which is a disgusting execute. You know, it puts us, I guess, on par with Warrior Execute probably. Really good on single target probably taken in raid fights. Next one, Blades of Light. Crusader Strike, Judgment, Hammer of Wrath now deal Holy Strike damage. This is one of the core parts of this Holy Strike build because it transforms all of those abilities into Holy Strike damage, which means Crusader Strike, which is now our auto attack, will do full damage to everything it hits. Judgment will do, well, it always did, but now it benefits from physical amps as well. Hammer of Wrath did Holy, now will benefit from both Holy and physical amps, so it's a really, really good and core part of this build that I'm talking about now. So Final Reckoning, we're always going to take Final Reckoning for Mythic Plus. The other option is Execution Sentence, probably will be taken in single target situations. But for AoE and Mythic Plus, Final Reckoning is just good. It does that big burst of damage when you throw it and debuffs everything by 50% for 8 seconds. It gives us that 1 minute go, and we also have the big 2 minute go with our wings. Next one we have Hyler's Judgment. This one is kind of tricky. Judgment causes the target to take increased damage from your next 2 Holy Power Spender abilities. So you can throw 2 spenders and both of them will be amped by this. Remember, Judgment is AoE now, so 5 things will have 2 debuffs of Holy Power spending abilities. There's another point you could put here, and it will make your next 3 Holy Power spending abilities do damage, to your targets. But that's a bit overkill because we already have 2 charges of Judgment. We can just cycle between those 2 charges, and we never will see that third charge from this. You're always going to have your second charge of Judgment back before you ever use the third debuff here. So I'm thinking just put 1 point here and we should be fine, unless they nerf something before this goes out. This can change in a win. Next one, Wake of Ashes. Lash out of your enemies doing big damage. This is the old glorious Wake of Ashes of Legion. It went back to its 30-second cooldown, does huge damage, comes with a slow, 50% slow, stuns demons and undeads. Currently it says here it does radiant dot damage. This is because of talent we're taking down here, but if you don't take the talent, it doesn't do the dot damage. It's just a block of uncapped damage. It's pretty powerful. Actually, it doesn't say it's reduced after 5 targets, so we could say this thing is uncapped, fully uncapped, which is extremely strong. Maybe that's why they put it at a 30-second cooldown. Next one, Holy Crusader or Burning Crusade. Ooh, both are really good names. I really like this Burning Crusade name. Anyways, we're going to take Holy Crusader. So because this one makes our Blade of Justice and Expurgation now Holy Strike damage. Like I said before, this means that they do full damage to everything they hit because they are treated as holy. And they are also amplified by any physical or magical amps, both of them. Okay, so that's one of the core parts of this build. Now we have made almost all our abilities Holy Strike. Crusader Strike, Judgment, Hammer of Wrath, Expurgation, Blade of Justice, all of them hit by their full damage and get amped by both physical and magic. Really good. The other option was the Burning Crusade. So there's another build you can go, which amps fire and holy damage. So radiant damage, that is from your Expurgation, your Blade of Justice, your Wake of Ashes, and the dot from Wake of Ashes. That would be all the sources of radiant damage. This build also uses this other talent that's next to it, which is Penitence. This will increase the periodic damage of any effect by 15%, so that will increase the radiant damage of your Blade of Justice and the radiant damage from the Truthsway dot. But we're not using that build, so we're going to ignore Penitence. This has 2 points, by the way. It's 30% amp when you could put 2 here. Now let's go to the last row. So this row we're going to take Physical Presence, and this is the talent that made me get the idea of this build. So Physical Presence increases all physical damage you deal by 20%. Since everything we do is physical and magical, this will be basically it's just increasing 20% damage to everything we do that is Holy Strike. That is, I'm going to repeat, Crusader Strike, Judgment, Hammer of Wrath, Blade of Justice, and Expurgation. All of those are Holy Strike and will get amped by 20%. Remember, Judgment and Blade of Justice now are both AoE. They hit 5 things each. Judgment hits 5 things, Blade of Justice hits everything. So all of those will get amped by 20% and do massive damage with this thing. Okay. After that, we have other options for other talents. I'm going to explain them. Okay, so this one is Executioner's Will. This will make your single target spender, so Final Verdict or Judgment or Justicar's Vengeance, increase the duration of Final Reckoning or Execution Sentence. So either option you take here, you will extend with this up to 16 seconds. Pretty good, In single target, maybe you pick, like I said, Execution Sentence. In AoE, it's worthless because we're not going to use Final Verdict or just the Curse Vengeance in AoE, so maybe Final Reckoning can be a good option in a cleave fight where you can just throw your Final Reckoning, it does damage, and you can still hit the boss with just single target stuff, you know? Who knows? Next one. This one is useless. Divine Auxiliary. We generate so much holy power. This thing is worthless. Final Reckoning and Execution Sentence grant 3 holy power. That's doing nothing. You have so much holy power now that this does nothing. So you're never gonna take it unless they nerf our holy power generation. Okay, let's go next one. Seething Flame. This one is really cool when you throw it. You lash out and you throw a Wake of Ash and then you throw 2 more, you know? That looks pretty nice. Doesn't do that much damage though. The other option next to it is better. You know, you can take actually both if you had enough talent points, but since we're going this Holy Strike build, everything is kind of taken. Truth Wake, this is the best of the 2 options. It just leaves a really huge dot on all your targets that hit by Wake of Ashes. This is not also capped, so this does fully uncapped damage to everything. So it's 40k dot on any number of targets you hit. It's really strong, so we're taking that. Even though it does no synergy with our build because it's radiant damage, still very good. The next option is Searing Light. So this is the core part of the other build, the Holy Fire Radiant build, you know? This, you would pick this on top of 2 points in Penitence. You would take the Truth Wake, and yeah, that would probably the changes that we would do to take this, but that other build. That one is more focused on those, on your Wake of Ashes and your Blade of Justice radiant damage, you know? But this one is focused on almost everything else that does a Holy Strike damage. So now, I'm going to show you guys in the target dummies what this build can do. And it's really powerful. So let's get to hitting the dummies. Okay guys, we're going to start here, just hitting the target dummy, building Holy Power, pop Wings, get 10 stacks Crusade, pop Divine Toll, throw the Final Reckoning, just keep building and spending, and that's basically what the rotation is. You build some Holy Power, you throw Divine Storms. Your stuff is just doing damage there. You're basically just building and spending, what I can say. Other than that, yeah, you're trying to throw as many Hammers of Wrath and Judgments as possible to extend your wings. But for the most part, you're just build Holy Power, throw Divine Storm, and that's pretty much the rotation. This is peak Retribution gameplay because, well, this is the fun playstyle, you know. We get this at the end of expansions, if you remember BFA, Legion, Shadowlands. Red plays like this normally at the end, where we have a lot of haste and we can just pop stuff and just build and spend and we have fun, you know. This is what was missing from Red, I think, in Dragonflight. And now I'm gonna talk about that in a bit, but first, let's see the damage breakdown. So, first of all, on the top there, we have our good and all Divine Storm. So, Divine Storm is on the top doing, as always, big damn. After that, Judgment of all things. This is because, well, with this build, we're overcharging Judgment and we're overcharging Blade of Justice. Actually, Blade of Justice did more damage than Judgment, by the way, because if you add up Expurgation and Blade of Justice, it's going to do even more than Divine Storm. So it's crazy how much we're amplifying those 2 abilities. So it would be first place Blade of Justice with Expurgation, after that Divine Storm, after that Judgment, after that the Wake of Ashes dot, after that normal Wake of Ashes, after that our Divine Storm, our Tempest, Crusader Strikes, Final Reckoning, Hammer of Wrath, Burnout Weight is the trinket, so ignore it, and Touch of Light, which does jack all damage there, yeah, but at least it's some damage. You know, the other option does 0 damage actually. So, as you can see, this is the Holy Strike build that I'm trying. Maybe someone else has a better build than this, but I think this one is pretty satisfactory to use. I really like it. A lot of things can change till this gets released. This probably will get nerfed a bit because we have too much Holy Power generation, so they're probably going to do something like that. But as I was saying before, this is the version of Retribution Paladin that I fell in love with when I started to play WoW back then in Legion, guys. While we were not S tier by any means or anything close, you know, it was really fun just to build and spend, you know, build Holy Power, spend, everything did damage, all of our abilities felt impactful, you know, it was satisfactory. A lot of people say that they are dumbing down Retribution Paladins, and I answer, Retribution Paladin was always simple, at least in the current, like, few iterations of it. Overcomplicating Red always takes away the fun factor of it. Most of the most satisfactory versions of Retribution were always at the end of expansions when we could take the passive talents and just spam spells like crazy. BFI Corruption, we had most of our passive bonuses, we just had passive procs of wings and we had a bunch of stats. Really fun. Legion End Patch, when we had a ton of stats from the artifact bonus, all our abilities felt nice, we only built and spent. Shadowlands with the Shrouded Affix. Even though most of our abilities didn't do much damage, only our spenders did damage, it really flowed well with the 50% haste baseline of the Affix, and everything was build and spend, build and spend. All of them were really simple, yet really fun. I hope they really keep the core of what this red is currently in the PTR, or what I showed here, you know, until launch, even if they have to nerf the numbers. I know they will probably nerf the numbers, but if they maintain the playstyle, all will be good. And well guys, that's going to be the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed that build. This is by any means a guide. This is not a guide. This is zero guide here. This is just a build I made with all the things in the PTR, you know, all the things that could mesh together well and just resulted in this. So if you liked it, you can go in the PTR and try it for yourself, and let me know down in the comments what do you think about it, you know. And also let me know what do you think about the red in general, you know, the red rework in general. If you like my content, subscribe to the channel and leave a like in the video. Thanks for watching, everyone.